political system course since 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2016.
Okay, because I think that Gustavo is a real master explaining such a complex topic as are the electoral college in the USA. And but however, never before this class from Gustavo has been so expected, because it is arriving just in time in order to understand what's going on and what is going to happen tomorrow. So let me briefly introduce you, Gustavo, and his resume. He's a professor at the Graduate School of Political Management at George Washington University, and also is a lecturer at American University. Gustavo is a PhD candidate in economics and is also a consultant in political economy or economic politics.
Hola, profesora. Perdón, es que hay varios chicos que están esperando ser aceptados en la llamada.
Ah, ok. Listo. Okay, and Gustavo is also CEO of his own firm, Polynomics. And well, the floor is yours, Gustavo.
Thank you, Carmen Beatriz. Good morning from here, from this side of the world. Good afternoon there. It is a really pleasure to stay here again. I mean, we have been here for a complete election cycle for 4 years, since 2016. That was the first time I had the opportunity to share with the students in Navarra, with the Carmen Beatriz students in Navarra. So let's talk about this electoral college system in the United States and its implications in campaigning. I think that is going to be also a very interesting topic for you. And I guess that you have seen very recently, in the last probably 4 years or 4 elections in the United States and some of the elections in Spain, you have been able to see these election forecast models. I mean, that is something that has been surging in the last 4 elections probably. One of the most famous election forecast model is the model from Nate Silver of 538. It's a very famous web page in the United States. Actually, he started first predicting election outcomes in his own blog, and now his blog has been bought by ESPN webpage. So now he works basically for ESPN, and they have different other prediction. You also probably have seen election forecast models in Spain. I know that Kiko Llerenas and Jorge Galindo, they have a blog in El País where they have been predicting what is going to be the outcome. And these prediction models or forecast models has been, when you see this forecast model, you will see three presentations of or it's presented in 3 ways. The first way is this chance of winning, or it's a probabilistic winning that, or a probabilistic chance that a candidate is going to win. So that sometimes may be confused because when you see this 89% versus 10% of the other candidate, so you probably get confused because you say, oh, so you mean that Joe Biden is going to win with 90% of the votes. Sometimes may be confused, but I will try to explain you that. I mean, that is one of the way, but this is basically a probabilistic model. And the other two way they present the model is this electoral votes. You will see here an electoral vote, which is here. It's they are predicting an outcome here, and the third way is the popular vote. So what does it mean? I mean, what is a popular? What's the difference between a popular vote and electoral vote? So that is what I'm trying to explain. I'm not gonna go in depth with the explanation of the probabilistic model, but if you have some question, I may be able to answer. I will try to answer, but I'm gonna try to focus on the differences between electoral votes and popular votes. I'm gonna start with the easiest part. The easiest part is, of course, the popular vote, because the popular vote is basically an estimation of the average of the surveys, of the polls. If you see here, sorry, let me start here. So here is the average of the national polls in the United States for this was up to October 30. So what you see here is basically, if you see all those blue dots are the position of Joe Biden as a candidate, and the red dots are the position of Trump as a candidate. So what they basically try to do is, instead of just measuring one poll, they measure the average of the different polls. Then when you discount, for instance, I don't know, I don't answer. When you discount that, you are being able to try to predict based in the average of the model of the polls. You are able to estimate what is going to be the final outcome nationwide. So which is going to be different. It's not going to be necessarily the same outcome that who is going to win the election, but that is part of the trick of the electoral college. So you will see that probably right now, as according to the different polls, Joe Biden is going to be able to win the popular vote at the national level. And that is something that also happened with Hillary Clinton in last election in 2016. She was able to win for 2 points, and the prediction of the prediction of the polls was basically at a margin of around 3.1, and she was able to win with 2 points. So it's between the margin of error. So I think that the results were not so wrong as so many people have been thinking. But when we see the in detail the results, we will see that even despite that Hillary Clinton got 48% at national level, and Donald Trump got 46%, the election, the winner of the election was Donald Trump. So how is that? Well, it's effectively because of the electoral college system. That's when we see this map here, we will see that there are different red states that Donald Trump got as a candidate. So he was able to got more electoral vote, 304, and Hillary Clinton only got 227. So how is that system? How does system work? That's the question, and that's what we want to. So we need to understand first what the Constitution says. What the U.S. Constitution says. So it's basically an indirect system, but in the Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution of the United States say, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives. So there I basically want to select a number of electors, which is exactly the same number of the representative to the House. You know that the United States, they have the senators and representative, the House, right? The Senate and the House. So, which is basically in Spain, the diputados and senadores is basically the equivalent. So they wanted to select, or what the Constitution said, that each state needs to select a number of electors, which is exactly the same number of representative plus the number of senators for each state. So one of the reasons why the webpage of Nate Silver is called 538 is basically because 538 is the total number of electoral college in the United States. So to win the election, you need to get at least 270 electoral college. That's the basic idea. But look at this. This is very interesting. So what is going to happen is that voters are going to select these electoral number, electoral voters or electors. They are going to select them, and then those are going to basically elect or confirm. I'm going to say confirm. The original plan was to elect, but at the end of the day, what they basically do is confirm the winner. I'm going to explain that more in detail. So they are going to vote for the president and the vice president. So there are a couple of things very important here, but I'm going to explain first. Let me go first to the original plan, and then I'm going to explain the map. Okay, so in the original plan of the founding fathers, the framers, as they call, so it was supposed to be that there was a very interesting. If you go to the history of how they choose this plan, it was very frustrating in the sense that they were discussing when they were writing the Constitution. It was a very complicated situation when trying to choose an optimal plan to select the president. Remember, we are here in 1776, when was the Declaration of Independence, and they started writing the Constitution for in 1780. So remember, there was not internet, there was not electoral democracy around the world. I don't remember if some countries were selecting or electing or not. I mean, probably in the United Kingdom, probably was one of the few countries electing their authorities. So it was a different time, okay? So, but in the original plan, they mentioned some very important things. The first thing was that the choice of the president should reflect the sense of the people. So this is very important because they was not trying to change the outcome. Sometimes we may have the idea that because this is an interact system, we may have the idea that the electoral college may be able to select a different president or to switch the outcome. But that has not happened ever in the United States. I mean, that means that once you win a state, the electoral college or the electors of that candidate has never changed the outcome of that state. But I'm going to explain in detail how they select the electoral in the state, each state by state. Okay. So the other thing is that the choice could be made decisively with a full and fair expression of the public will. So that's again here, the idea is not trying to switch or the outcome or the will or the willingness of the voters. Another important thing is that individual electors would be elected by citizens on a district by district basis. And that is something that is not happening right now. That is something that is only happening in Maine and Nebraska, and the other state, they don't have the same system. So that is something I need to explain more in depth, okay? But that was the original plan. So the original plan was that, remember, the United States is a federal system where it's a federal system where in each state, voters are able to select or to elect their authorities by popular vote. I mean, every governor is basically selected by popular vote. But they were thinking at that point that the state has many differences, and the idea on how to count the votes for the president was based basically on the idea that the community was able to select one representative for any district or for every community in order to go to Washington and select a president. That was the idea. And the other thing, which I think is very important, when the framers or the founding fathers were analyzing, there was that idea that probably, let me go to this, for instance, there were at least a couple of plans here. The Virginia plan was that the Congress elects the president, but some of the founding fathers say no, because if we are thinking in the division of powers, the Congress cannot select the president because that would violate the division of powers. And there was the other idea, but look, Madison, for instance, he was thinking that popular election was the best option. I mean, everybody votes for the president directly, but there was this other problem about the North and the South. Remember, in the North, the institution of the states in the North was completely different of the institution in the South. In the South, there was slavery, and they don't wanted to have, I mean, a slave, for instance, involved in the final selection of the president of the United States. So there was this division here, and the consensus was finally to select the president via electoral college. Remember, we are here in 1780. So that was more than 200 years ago. No internet to count the votes, no telephones. There was the only way to count the votes was basically that the state of Maryland select one representative or some representative, and those representatives go not to DC at that moment, but to Philadelphia, because Philadelphia was the capital before Washington, DC. And they go to Philadelphia and select the president of the United States, but based on the willing of each community. And they were thinking that the community were diversity. I mean, it was very diverse in the sense that they were thinking that Massachusetts was completely different to New York or South Carolina. So they were not thinking that at that point there was not national political parties like now. So they were thinking, okay, every community select some electors, and those electors go to Philadelphia and select the new president of the United States. That was the first system, basically. So, but how this work? So let me tell you how this work now. Now, for instance, if you can, as you can see here in this map, you can see that every state has different numbers of electoral voters. So for instance, Philadelphia here has 20. I think, can you see my mouse here? The arrow of the, yes? Okay, so here we have Philadelphia has 20, Florida here has 29, Texas 38, Arizona 11, California 55. So these numbers are basically the number of representatives plus the number of senators per each state. So but the thing is, how does this work? Okay, so I told you that Nebraska and Maine, as you can see, Nebraska and Maine has some strips, diagonal strips in the map. It's because they select the electoral votes by district, as was established in the original plan, by district. But the other states, they have this system, which is the winner take it all system. The winner take it all. I know that grammatically is winner takes it all, but I mean, the correct way to call it is the winner take it all system. So the winner take it all system, what you basically say that if you win the state, even by less than a point percent, you got all the electoral votes of the system. So let's see the example here. If you win Texas, you got 38 electoral votes. If you win Florida, you got 29. If you win Wisconsin, you got 10. So that is the way you are adding all the total electoral votes. Once you have 270, which is half plus one of the total electoral college, then you win. You are elected president of the United States. And that is the reason on why you can see, for instance, in the results of 2016 that Donald Trump was able to got 49% of the votes and Hillary Clinton 47.8. I mean, the difference was basically 1 point, but he got the 29 votes, electoral votes. And in the case of Michigan, the difference was even smaller. I mean, was less than 1 point, but he got the 16 vote of the electoral college, and Hillary Clinton has none. So that is the winner take it all system. That one of the reasons of this winner take it all system, which as I mentioned, is not in the Constitution of the United States, but it's a tradition. One of the origin of this was that when they were voting for the first Constitution, we are talking here in 1776, what happened is that there were 13 states. So they were thinking, okay, so how are the people going to vote for the Constitution of the United States? So what they basically decide was that, okay, if we have 13 states, we need that at least 7 states approve the Constitution. So that Constitution was basically approved state by state in the Congress of the state. So if Maryland vote yes, so they got one vote of the 13. If Vermont vote yes, they got 2. And that was the way on basically, hey, the majority of the majority to win was basically 7, so they just basically needed 7 states to win the election. So, but of course, there are some implications in the result. As you can see, as you have seen, if you remember one of the first slides I show you, one of the implications is that winning the popular vote does not necessarily mean that you win the election. I mean, that you are the president of the United States. Not probably because of the college, because of the electoral college system, but because of the winner take it all system. So as for instance, you remember the election of 2016, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but she was not able to make it with the electoral college. But in the case of Richard Nixon and Howard Humphrey, also happened something very similar. In that case, in this case, Richard Nixon won the popular vote, but as you can see, he just for less than 1%, but he got 56% of the popular vote. So The other thing, the other implication is that, or one of the main implications of this is that the system gives swing state disproportionate influence. So I'm basically campaigning is focused, the electoral campaigns are focused on the swing states. What are the swing states? Well, the swing states are basically the 50-50. Those states that can change every election. For instance, Ohio here is one swing state. Michigan and Wisconsin are also swing states, despite they here are light blue because Biden has some lead there in those states, and the other states are toss up. But Pennsylvania is also, and you will see that today all the focus of the campaign is in Pennsylvania. You will see that both candidates are going to close their campaigns in Pennsylvania because that is probably basically because Biden is leading Wisconsin and Michigan, those states that were won by Donald Trump. But also he is also leading Pennsylvania, but closer with a closer gap. But if he wins Wisconsin and Michigan, but also carry with Pennsylvania, he's going to be the new president of the United States. So what is basically is that is why the focus of the election tonight is going to be Pennsylvania, because both candidates are going to fight to win the election in Pennsylvania. But there are other swing states now. I mean, the map of swing state is basically expanding right now. For instance, Georgia, which has been traditionally a red state, when I say red state is a Republican state, now it's not safe for the Republicans. So now they are, Biden is also being competitive in Georgia. He's being competitive in Arizona, which has been also traditional red state. North Carolina has been another traditional swing state, like Florida. And as you can see, well, Florida is very important because they have 29 votes here. In addition, Texas still is red light, but the number of intention of votes of Democrats has been rising, has been surging in the recent polls in Texas. So I'm not saying that Texas is a swing state right now, but it's in the way of becoming a swing state, definitely. And that's good I think that's good for democracy, that expanding the map, so they eventually they will, instead of just focusing their campaign in 2 or 3 states or a state at last, they probably are going to campaign in more states now. So that's important, I think, for democracy. So basically, let me see. Oh, oops. I'm out. Let me go. Okay. So I have one slide here about primary election that I can also answer later, but that is the basic idea of the electoral college system. It's basically the voters go in each state and select by popular vote their president, and the winner of that state, the candidate of that state, are going to or the electors that has been selected. I mean, those electors, let me explain you in this way. Each candidate, let's say Joe Biden and Donald Trump, they select the delegates who are going to represent them. So if they win the state, so those electoral voters, if they got, let's suppose they got the 29 votes of Florida, so they can suppose Donald Trump win Florida, he will got the 29 electors. So those electors, 29 electors, are going to Washington D.C. to confirm that those 29 votes are going for Donald Trump. So that is basically how this system works. So I may have some different anecdotes that I can, but I would like to hear you. I would like to hear some question from you. So I may some of these anecdotes are going to arise during the Q&A section.
Yeah, you already have two questions in our chat, Gustavo.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah, and then we are going to have voice questions.
Okay, I think I need to end here showing, right? And then okay, here I have the participants. Oh, I didn't need to. I can still. Let me.
Okay, I can read it. You have from Sophia asking if the number of representatives depends on the population of each state, and also Sophia. So the candidates, in order to win, have to focus mainly on those states with a higher number of representatives. And then from Alexandria, how is the rise of new swing states related to immigration and other demographic change in the US?
Oh, that all of them are very great questions. I'm going to start with the state with more population. As you can see here, California is the state with more electoral voters and more population. And but California, but none of the candidates are campaigning in California right now because Biden has a lead of 30% of 30 points ahead. So he's gonna win California. So it does not make any sense to go and spend money there. Neither for Joe Biden, who is gonna win easy, nor for Donald Trump, who is going to lose that state. So they basically try to focus on those states that are close to 50-50, where if they put a great effort, they are able to switch the vote for them. So that is basically, but yes, I mean, the thing is, it's not based on the on the population, but on the 50-50 the 50-50 base, basically. So, and yes, the number of representatives is it's estimated based on the population of the state. Yes, that is true. However, if you do the numbers and you, for instance, estimate, you may want to try to estimate and divide the total population of North Dakota by the number of representatives, and then divide the California, the number of the total population of California divided by the number of representatives that California selects, you will find that basically North Dakota selects more representatives by population than California. I mean, by population when you divide. So that happens sometimes in small states like North Dakota or Wyoming or Idaho, for instance. And what was the last one?
The last one was the rise of new swing states related to immigration and other demographic change in the USA.
Yes, definitely. I think there are two kinds of immigrations. One immigration is of course, foreign immigration. I mean, those, foreign, and for instance, in the case of Arizona, Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, they have a lot of Mexican population. Remember that those states were actually in Mexico first, and so as some of they say, some of the Mexican Texans say they did not cross the border crossed them. So yeah, there are a lot of Mexican and Hispanic population there. Another that has been growing, by in the case of Texas, I know that has been growing a lot. But there is also an internal immigration. For instance, since California is a very expensive state, and Texas is a cheaper state, so some of the Californians have been moving to Texas in order to find, I mean, more affordable houses. So yes, it's growing, and also there are two important block or voters block in the United States. The first one is the boomers, I mean the baby boomers. That has been the biggest block of voter since 20 years ago. But the second one are the millennials, and the millennials are basically surpassing now the boomers. So yes, millennials are, as a block of voters, they are growing a lot, and they are, of course, having influence in those results. That is why, for instance, in the case of Florida, where you probably know that in Miami-Dade County, there are a lot of a significant population of Cubans. There are first generation of Cubans, second generation of Cuban, and third generation of Cuban, and the third generation of Cubans, which are millennials, they think differently, completely different to those that the first from the first generation. So the first generation, they are very conservative, very Republican leaning, but the other in the other way, they complete in the third generation, the thinking is completely different from those of the first generation.
Thank you, Gustavo. We have Felipe with oral question, and then Ruth also with an oral question, and then we have a couple of more questions from the chat. So, Felipe.
Thank you, teacher. Thank you, Professor Gustavo, for explaining us a little bit about the college electoral college system. What I was thinking, and I wanted to know your personal opinion on this, is like I understand that the electoral system was created because of the issues that you explained, like for example the North and the South issue, and that's why basically the founding fathers no sé cómo funciona mi cámara, profesora, por eso es que no la he prendido. Creo que por eso está mala.
No sé, te
So what I was asking is, given the modern times that we live in today, isn't this system a little bit outdated? Like there's no need anymore for representatives to go to Washington to confirm what voters have already established in the polls. And under that same argumentative line, I was thinking or wondering how democratic is this college system, given that popular vote doesn't determine the presidency, like the way it happens, for example, in most of Latin American countries.
Well, both of them are very good questions. Yeah, and it's a very common question, right, Carmen Beatriz? If the system is outdated, it's yes. I am not. I don't think I am qualified, because that is not my area of. I mean, constitutional. Democracy, etc. That's not my area, so I don't feel I am qualified to say that if the system is outdated or not. But I can tell you the following. The first thing is that what I think is first that sometimes there is this idea that the United States is not a democracy, or that the indirect system is a kind of second degree election or something like that. But historically, it has not been, I mean, electoral voters has not changed the willingness of this state. Say that. I mean, if Texas vote for Trump, they go for the electoral voters vote for Trump in the Congress. That's or confirm that the outcome has never changed. I mean, none of the, even if you see these let me show you. In this map, you probably see that there are some small dots here, like in Texas, there is a yellow dot. I mean, Texas has 38 electoral votes, but Trump got 36. And then there is a one yellow vote that it went to another candidate. I mean, there was some guys that is not common, but there were some guys that changed their final vote. But that is something that is not really common because you are supposed to be a person, a delegate selected from the candidate and from the political party in order to select. But saying that, having said that, if you look at the case of Maine and Nebraska, I think those systems are very something that has been raising my interest because they select the electoral voters not by the state, but in a district, by district way. So this is basically the original plan of the founding fathers. And I'm saying that because in the United States, to change something, I mean, like at the Constitution, which is the institution, the most important institution, it's something very complicated, but because the stability of the institution and the rule of law in the United States is basically based in the fact that they don't change their institution. So that is something that is going to be politically complicated to do. I think politically it's easier to think that some states are able to switch or to change their system from winner-take-it-all system to a district-by-district system, which is more proportional. For instance, in the case of Nebraska, Nebraska is in the whole state, Donald Trump is going to win the state, but there is a chance that Joe Biden win one of the district 2. So if he wins that district, it's going to be like a more proportional in that sense because there are 5. So Donald Trump is going to get 4, and he's going to get 1. So that is something very similar. And the other thing is that remember, I mean, the system that the winner-take-it-all system is not in the Constitution, but remember that this is a federal state. So each state has their own rule. They count their votes. It's not a national, like in Latin America, there is a National Institute of Election that counts all the votes. No, here each state put the rules and count the vote. And that is something. I mean, it's the system. This is how the United States works. It's a federal system, and actually, that is important in terms of division of powers because when there is an unrest or there are some protests or riots in some states, the federal government cannot intervene unless the government allows him to intervene. I mean, that is important in the terms of balance. I mean, you need the president, the federal government needs permission from the governor in order to intervene if they want to, which is something that is very unlikely to happen. So I understand your point very well, but from the political view on how feasible is to change that, I think is very unlikely to happen unless I was thinking that suppose Joe Biden wins Texas, which is it has 38. So when with Democrats having power in California with 55, and New York with 29, and Texas with 38, so I think that is probably change their mind of the song. I mean, it's gonna set a different stage in order to probably some of the Republicans are going to say, oh, you know what? I think we probably need to change this system locally instead of having just a winner-take-it-all system. Probably we need to distribute the